A series doesn't start until you lose a game on your home court, the old saw goes, but the Toronto Raptors were giving up a little backs against the wall energy in the lead up to the second game of their first-round series against the Philadelphia 76 ers. Raptors head coach Nick Nurse had the gamesmanship cranked to 11 before Game 2, just in case. Nurse ditched his folksy, friendly, OL ball coach routine that he sticks to through most regular season situations and got right to the point before the ball went up. "We've got to survive some of the physicality out there," said Nurse, answering an only tangentially related question with a clear statement for his own purposes. "You heard me saying it after Game 1, we got ran over a bunch when we were legal," which was true. There were several shots to the face, which I don't understand why they were not reviewed. I hope they've got enough guts to at least stop the game and look at that stuff tonight. And a moment later, "I just want to reiterate, to me, it's the playoffs, and it's gonna be physical. There are ways within the rules of the game to be able to play physical basketball, that part I think we can do. We may need some help with the other parts that aren't within the confines of the game." Who did Nurse hope was listening? His own team. Surely, it's unlikely he wouldn't have made the same comments to them about the need to keep their nose stuck in, even given the very realistic possibility that massive Sixers center Joel Embiid might whack it, even by accident. The referees. Obviously, the Raptors are underdogs against the Sixers, and massively bigger ones if Embiid gets to roam around like Goliath among the Davids. And hey, maybe the league office too. But the bigger takeaway was Nurse wasn't letting the game unfold at its leisure, or taking what the defense was giving him. He was on offense 90 minutes before the game started. Did it work? It will be recorded as a valiant attempt to somehow even the playing field for his undersized, short-handed team against a top-heavy Sixers club with championship expectations and some apparent momentum. But it didn't work. The Raptors took Nurse's cue and showed plenty of early spark and early fight, and in the end didn't have a thing to show for it as for the second time in as many starts, Toronto was blown out, this time 112-97 in a game that was mostly over by the end of the third quarter as the Raptors were trailing by 24 to start the fourth, and had trailed by as much as 29 in the third quarter. Toronto can hope that they found something with a 13-0 run midway through the fourth that was built on 8 consecutive stops, by far their most promising defensive flurry in the series so far, that cut the Sixers' lead to 11 with 6:48 to play. But a turnover after a slip by Precious Achiuwa and transition 3 by Sixers breakout star Tyrese Maxey sparked an 8-0 run punctuated by a fast break dunk by former Raptor Danny Green, of all people, and it was a wrap. The Raptors were led by Anunoby with 26 points on 10 of 14, while Chris Boucher added 17 points off the bench, but Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam combined to shoot 14 of 43, and the Raptors' attack stalled with them. Toronto did win the turnover battle 14-9, and had a 13-7 edge in offensive rebounds, 2 important keys for them, but that wasn't enough to make up for the Sixers' 30-12 edge in free throw attempts and connecting on 14 threes on 30 attempts to 11 of 32 for Toronto. The Sixers got another big game from Maxey, who followed up his 38 points in Game 1 with 23 points, 9 rebounds and 8 assists on Monday night. Embiid finished with 31 points and 11 rebounds as all 5 Sixers starters finished in double figures. "I liked the way we started, we didn't really sustain it there, looked like we ran out of gas a little bit in some areas," said VanVleet. "But yeah, we brought a lot more fight and intensity tonight, and that's something that we can build on going forward. We just got to clean up a lot of mistakes, we're making too many mistakes for the stage, to beat a team like that we've got to be a little sharper." Scotty Barnes didn't play for the Raptors, and while Gary Trent Jr. and Thad Young did try and go, they had no impact, and Trent Jr. eventually left the bench after going scoreless in 10 minutes. They now get to test that old playoff adage about series not getting real until someone loses at home. But the flip side is also true. If the Raptors don't win in Game 3 on Wednesday night, they aren't going to win the series either. Nurse was trying to coach as much as he could, and he started early. The gamesmanship continued with Trent Jr., Young and Barnes all being described as doubtful for Game 2. Anyone with eyes could guess that Barnes would be out after badly spraining his ankle, and probably for a lot more than a single game. But Trent Jr. and Young missing time with an undefined illness and a sprained thumb seemed like a little bit of a ruse, and sure enough, it was, as both were deemed ready to go at the last possible minute. As well, for one of the few times this season when Khem Birch has been available, Nurse opted to start Precious Akayawa over the veteran Montrealer in place of Barnes. Nurse spelling it out in big block letters, "This game is important." To the Raptors' credit, their coach's pre-game energy translated. The game was 90 seconds old when Embiid tried to manhandle Anunoby on a ball situation. Anunoby shoved right back and shoved again. The referees handed out double technical, but it was well worth it, from the Raptors' point of view. On Embiid's first touch, Anunoby and Akayawa combined on a hard double team, and a moment after that Siakam took a hard foul on Embiid, putting the Philly big man on the floor. Throw in 3 quick threes and an aggressive drive by Akayawa, and the Raptors were up 11-2 early. "I thought we stood in there and brought some physicality and tried to play the game, you know, at the level that it needs to be played at this time of year," said Nurse afterwards. And there was another open-handed slap to the face that I don't understand why they will not call them, said Nurse. But other than that, at least there weren't as many elbows thrown to the face tonight that we had to endure. But there was a price for the Raptors' determination to be more physical, and it came in the form of a steady drip of Sixers free throws. Sixers were in the bonus with 5:38 gone in the first quarter before the Sixers had been called for their first foul. The Sixers answered the Raptors' quick start with a 16-2 run to calm the waters. But the Raptors kept pushing. Van Vliet was seeking out Embiid on switches and firing threes from deep every chance he got. He finished the quarter with 15 points and 4 triples. Siakam had 3 assists and Akayawa, Anunoby, and Chris Boucher all made their presence felt. The Raptors led 33-32, even though Embiid had 19 points, and was 11 of 12 from the line in his first 12 minutes. But all the good mojo sputtered out strangely enough when Embiid went to the bench to start the second quarter. That's always been the time for Sixers opponents to shine, the Raptors know it better than anyone. When the Raptors defeated Philadelphia in the second round in 2019, Toronto won the non-Embiid minutes by 108 points in 7 games. The Raptors didn't take advantage in Game 1, they lost the Sixers 11 non-Embiid minutes by 4 points, but with so many other things happening it didn't feel like the critical difference in the game. But in Game 2 the Sixers went on a 15-4 run early in the second quarter with Embiid out, sparked by former Green knocking in a pair of threes. Once again Sixers guard and Game 1 hero Maxey turned on the gas, and added 8 quick ones, as he worked a 2-man game with James Harden to find the best match UPS against the Raptors. It also helped that Maxey was a 1-man fast break anytime he got a defensive rebound, it seemed. By the time Embiid checked back in midway through the second period, the Sixers were up 11 after winning the minutes their big center was on the bench 23-11. By the time halftime rolled around Toronto was trailing 67-52, but it felt like more, and it was hard not to feel like Nurse was running out of buttons to push. Game 3 awaits. Listen, like I said before, this was going to be a huge challenge tonight. Right? Completely healthy coming here, and getting the game, I think people would have considered that a major upset, said Nurse. So here we are down 0-2. I don't see our guys are discouraged at all, like there's no chance here. I mean, I think they'll rise up and they'll play better. And you know we need to get one. We need to get one, and we get ourselves back in the series.